The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is e-Coffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show E-Coffee with Experts. This is your host Ranmay here, and today we have Michael Weber, who is the co-founder at TrillerTV with us. Hey Michael, how's it going?
I'm doing great today. How are you doing?
Good, yeah, can't really complain. Michael, before we move any forward, let's talk a bit about your journey. Let's get to know the human behind the mic. How were you as a kid growing up, and how did you, kind of got into organizing mini wrestling matches in the backyard? And then your journey so far, how it has been, and then we'll take it from there.
So while I worked in pro wrestling quite a bit in my career, I didn't even know about pro wrestling as a kid. But I actually started working in sports probably when I was like 8th grade, about 13 years old, by calling in the high school basketball scores to the newspapers. And I remember this was before fax machines and, of course, the internet. This is about 1969, 1970. And I would call, get the score book from the basketball scorer and from the high school there and call the scores in. So I've been around sports my entire life. My father was an athletic director and a coach, and just kept being involved all the way through, and coaching swim teams, playing football, running track, swimming. I've been a track coach. So all that I've done. Actually, I started as a YMCA director straight out of college, but I always had a bend towards sports and events.
Lovely. I mean, quite a journey, I must say, throughout sports. Are you still involved in sports in some capacity in any of the sports?
I mean, I still, I was a runner for 40 years, but the knees aren't so good anymore. So I'm pretty serious about bicycle riding. I swim pretty much during the winter every day here in the States. I'm still very involved in sports from that standpoint. And matter of fact, I'm going to do something a little new. Is I'm going to start volunteering next month with a group of school children, getting them into riding bicycles. So very fortunate where I live, there's some great places to go bicycle riding and for kids. And I have a real issue because I don't think kids are as active as they used to be as when I was a kid. And they spend too much time sitting around playing video games, in my opinion. And so I'm just trying to support people living a healthy lifestyle.
Lovely. I'm really glad you raised that point. What is your take on, the overall digitalization of age and the access to, internet and the access to all the gadgets that, these generations have now?
It's I've been in the workforce for over 45 years, 50 years. And it's amazing how much has changed. And for some ways, it's been very good because I can't imagine. I was at a conference last week in Las Vegas. I'm trying to figure out how the heck did I meet up with people before there was internet, cell phones, text messaging, stuff like that, and connect with people. And I can't even remember how I did some of these things, and put press releases out before there was fax machines. We used to FedEx them, and things like this. So from that standpoint, the technology has been a godsend for doing business. However, on the youth side of things there too, I think the distraction of always looking at your phone. I mean, you notice this riding my bike down the bike trail the other day. I was afraid I was hitting this woman because she did not look up while she was walking, looking at her phone. I mean, it's like, come on, lady, I'm going to hit you if you don't move or at least acknowledge. I want to make sure you see me coming at you. And of course, I'm wearing a big orange sweatshirt and stuff like that to be able to see me. But so there's some real negative things I think about too. But I'm sure everybody's said that at every point in the last hundreds of years when technology comes along. So it's been interesting.
Absolutely. It has its pros and cons. So I get your point. All right, Michael, let's talk growth. What was the smartest or the scrapiest move that helped Fight TV scale and, when big budgets weren't an option as yet?
So one thing that we did when we launched Fight launched a little over 9 years ago. I've been involved in 10 years now. We had already done, quite a few test shows, a half dozen or so test shows, and it worked, and we found people liked the technology, wanted to see these programs and so forth. And it was in boxing and MMA and pro wrestling. But probably the best thing we did is we hired a spokesperson named Jim Ross. Jim Ross is very well known as a WWE and AEW and WCW announcer. He's been around the business probably 55 years now, and very well established, very well known, and also had a very strong social media following. And I think that what brought us from zero to as a startup up as fast as possible, because it gave us credibility with fans, but also gave us credibility with promoters that we had to talk into putting their program on our platform. So if there's one single idea or movement, I definitely put my finger on bringing Jim Ross into as part of our team that first year we're in business.
Lovely. And talk about it. When everyone was choosing attention, how do you actually create retention, especially in combat sports audience that is always hungry for the next big thing?
Technology, as we were just talking about technology. Technology wins at the
Yeah.
end. Give the viewers a good viewing experience. I think that was key, regardless of what was in the ring or what was on the show, is that it's easy to find it, easy to buy it, easy to go forward and backwards on the shows that were taped and so forth. And that's been the key to our success there for that, and to keep people coming back here because there's a good user experience. And on the other hand, too, you gotta find a good programming, and my part of the contribution to the thing is really working with all the content owners and getting their programming on. So we worked especially hard to make sure we had good communication with the promoters and getting them, onto the air with us and communicating and make sure we had everything very succinct when it comes to contracts, and also what their, everyone wants to know what the rating numbers are, number of viewers and stuff like that. So we created a lot of tools for them so they always knew what was going on with their programming. And I think those are real keys to success right there. And to retain the viewership as well as retaining the content.
Absolutely. And, talk us through about the promotion that happens before a big match. I mean, how do you kind of, use to outreach or ensure you have enough eyeballs for a, fight that is coming up?
So it's twofold. One, we're a partnership with the promoter, the programmer. So they have their own fan base and their friends and family, and we expect them to communicate with their people. So that's what their contribution to it is. And of course, we're in a digital age, so we do Google ads and programming like that, social media. But we have a database of over 8 million people who have registered for our platform, so we communicate with them about events and give them reasons why they need to watch this show. There's always a reason why life will not go on if you don't watch the show this coming weekend. So that's always very important to giving reasons. But it's very basic digital marketing. And frankly, doing marketing, database marketing. I've been working in database marketing since before there was such a term, by collecting people's names and addresses on postcards, and then we send them a postcard. Hey, we got this great event coming up, and need to buy tickets for. So it's just the method of communicating with fans is just different now, but it's the same idea. Database marketing.
Absolutely. Talk us through how was digital marketing in those days? What were the touch points with your target audience back then?
I mean, way back then,
Yeah.
if they spent money with you the first time, they should spend money with you the second time, and give them a reason why they want to come back the second time. You should say this old adage in the live event business, the best way to sell a ticket to your next event is give them a good event today, and then they'll buy an event. Yeah. And actually, I'm involved in events where we did these big supercross and monster truck racing. We do these big, huge events where we have 45,000 people in a dome watching a sporting event, and we'd be selling tickets at intermission for the next show a year later, and people would buy them. And it was always good to have that many tickets sold that far in advance for when we came back to their city the next year. And it's no different the theory of what we're doing here. Give them a good event now, and they'll come back to next time.
Lovely. I mean, that is so true for today's world as well. I mean, if you have given a wonderful service experience to any, irrespective of whatever product, service, market you are in, chances of having a repeat customer, kind of grows multifolds, right? So it is so true even in today's use case.
Yeah, we've done that quite a bit with Jake Paul. He's done quite a few events on our platform. When we've had Jake Paul fights, as we gave him, hey, you bought the Jake Paul fight before. We'll give you a $2 event pay-per-view discount to buy this next event with him. So we reward people for being loyal customers.
Lovely. All right, moving on, talking about media and brand partnership, you would have done quite a few of them, right? So what is a red flag, Michael, where you will really, really walk away from a partnership talk immediately?
Obviously, disorganization, not really understanding the business. Sometimes I feel like I'm insulting people when I ask them questions about new programming, like, are you going to have announcers? Oh, we never thought about it. I go, you haven't thought about having announcers? You need to have announcers on the show. Have you talked to the State Athletic Commission, which in the United States is a very big concern, especially in boxing, MMA, to make sure your event is licensed? We've had promoters working with, we didn't realize you had to work with the athletic commission. Well, yes, you absolutely do. Otherwise, they're going to shut you down. So there's things like that. And of course, financing. Do they have the financing? Do they have the TV technical capabilities? Typically, when I talk to promoters, especially in combat sports there, I'm not too worried about what they do in the ring itself. Because one's regulated, and pro wrestling, at least in the States, usually they have reasonable athletes in there. It's more about their TV production values. Do they have the right lighting, the right audio? Are they shooting only with iPhones? We've gotten events where the event looked like it was shot by a security camera, that was high up in the ceiling there. It's really just, really vetting out the promoter to make sure they have all the tools to do a good job.
Absolutely. And talking about streaming, Michael, it got some really loud and fragmented. How do you actually cut through the noise when, you're in the process of launching new shows or talent?
I mean, it's, we just keep searching. I mean, fortunately, we're in a position now that we weren't in the beginning, of course, where people come to us and are pitching shows literally every day. We get a couple people contacting us, and frankly, that's one of the things I'm doing now as a senior advisor to the company is vetting them out, making recommendations, explaining to them how we work. And fortunately, I've been doing this long enough. I know a lot of people out there, so we hear of a new product, we know how to contact them and pitch them why they should be on our platform. There are other platforms available to them now. Fortunately, when we started out, there really wasn't many other options. But again, as I've said so many times, technology wins at the end, and we still feel we have a superior platform to deliver programming out there and the way we do business, and that seems to work out fairly well for us.
Lovely. And talking about, today's attention spans, which is really, really shrinking, right? With so much content available and, options to access internet through multiple devices available, right? It's very hard or difficult to kind of, get a hold of, your target audience's attention span. So how are you approaching content strategy in this era? I mean, TrillerTV, leans into high impact live content. So how is that piece of the game for you?
Well, I mean, right now we're just trying to offer a program that people want to see. And this past weekend was WrestleMania in Las Vegas, which is a very big annual wrestling event. There's a real world of ancillary events taking place around these events. And we aired over 25 wrestling shows last week from Las Vegas, with none of them being WWE. There's all the other shows there. And being there as being part of it really, gives them clarity of where to see the program. And the good thing is, I mean, we actually had overlapping programming time-wise, so we're not linear. So that's the beauty of digital. And then you can, and once the show takes place, it's immediately available as a VOD on our platform, so you always watch it there. So if you're a wrestling junkie, last week you've been in heaven here with our platform.
Lovely. Great, Michael. This has been a great conversation. But for our young listeners today, before we wrap this up, any piece of advice if they're starting out on their entrepreneurial journey or, on their journey to kind of make it big? What is that piece of advice?
Never burn bridges, can't know enough people, and you never know who you're going to be dealing with for years and years later. I'm dealing with people who I have first met as far back as the 80s. When I first started in the business, I had the pleasure, WrestleMania, which is WWE, just had their WrestleMania 41 this past weekend. I worked on WrestleMania 2, 3, 4, and 5. I was head of PR for those, so I went way back. And there's a lot of things I picked up from them. And I think the biggest thing is don't forget who you worked with in the past, that you've learned from them, or you're going to have opportunity to work with them in the future. And it's very easy and sort of fun for me to look at now.
Lovely. Thank you for that piece of advice, Michael. I mean, and really a great insightful session. But thank you so much for taking out time to do this with us. Really appreciate it, Michael. Lovely. For sure. Thank you.